To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. Well, I feel like I had another productive day again today. I feel like I say that almost every day. The only time I don't have a productive day is when it's raining. We just can't get anything done, it's muddy. And that's been a lot of days, but any day that is sunny, I've really gotten a lot done. So as you saw, been out in the woods today. Now you gotta be careful out in the woods. I mean, we got copperhead snakes and we got ticks. So I'm hoping I didn't pick any ticks up because I've been using DEET bug spray. Poison ivy is another thing you gotta watch out for. I just got over my last spell of poison ivy and I got into it again and got it on my arms. The last time I showed you our wood pile, I only had about half of that done. And I got that done with the reciprocating saw. So now that we've gotten the chainsaw, I've done a lot more. And just a couple days ago, I showed you that we had a wood splitter. So I've been wood splitting like one day, cutting another day, stacking. And the other thing is I got to pull everything out of the woods with the cart. So, you know, it takes several trips to pull them out of the woods. That there should be about a half a cord. So when I get that finished and stacked up just as high, that will be a full cord of wood from start to finish here. Drug up some bigger wood that I got to use the wood splitter on. Now I showed you the wood splitter the other day. It's underneath the tarp. I didn't get everything drug up that I got cut today, so there's quite a bit more. I bet I have at least another quarter cord sitting there. I'm making a lot of progress in a short amount of time. Very happy with the amount of progress that I've made. And I would think within the next 2 weeks, I'll have a couple cords of wood sitting there. So I spent the day not living off grid. Although I just showed you down there, and you know, I'm cutting up the wood, getting ready for winter so I can use firewood to live off grid in the wintertime. But today, I wasn't off grid. I get this a lot. You're not off grid, you got internet. You're not off grid, and you just hear all kinds of different reasons why you're not off grid. But I can guarantee you, that same person, you put a chainsaw in his hand, oh, I'm off grid, look at me. I mean, the bigger the chainsaw, the better. You know, 5 million cc's with a 500-foot chain bar. You'd have to have a crane to get down in the woods with it. You know, and they always talk about, oh, get yourself a backhoe or get yourself a skid steer. They're always talking about equipment they gotta have. You gotta have a tractor to be off grid. Well, all of those things in my mind are not off grid. You have to go get gasoline or diesel. So everybody's definition of off grid is significantly different than everybody else's. I get accused of not being off grid because I'm near a power line. You're not off grid, got a power line over your head. You got neighbors. I feel like for the short amount of time that we've been on this property, 2.5 months, we've gotten a lot accomplished to be off grid. Again, we got all our electric is coming off our solar panels. We got the well done. That's all you ever talk about being off-grid is your solar panels and your well. Well, now we got wood heat. And we can cut wood with a reciprocating saw. It's not near as fast, and I will figure out a method to make that faster. It's got to be in the saw blade. So I'm going to find me a saw blade that does better to cut wood, and then I might be able to do everything off-grid. A few things that I've heard I want to cover. Rob, you're not off-grid. You don't have a garden. People say you're not off-grid like there's a destination. Once you get this accomplished, then you're off-grid. I think off-grid is the journey. You know, it took us time to get solar panels, took us time to get property, took us time to get a well, took us time. But today, Carolyn did start a small, I mean, this is a terribly small garden, and she's very proud of it. Look at it. We had to hand dig it. We dug it with a shovel. Got to get yourself a tiller. Well, there again, I've heard that so many times. You got to get yourself a tiller or rent a tiller. But again, that's not off-grid. Carolyn did this by hand. She dug all this up, and she's got some tomatoes and beans, and she's going to come out here with cucumbers. So it's going to get a little bigger. But, you know, we got a very late start. We weren't able to get started with our gardening, planting the seeds until April. That's the problem, is there has not been enough time for the destination everybody thinks you need to get to. A lot of folks, in my mind, there's such a hurry to get to the destination, they end up spending all kinds of money and getting things that are not off-grid, like the tractor or the skid steer or the monster chainsaw. An interesting one that I heard today is on Facebook, somebody asked the question, how much money do you have in savings to live off-grid? And I'm reading the comments, and somebody says, you're not off-grid if you got your money in the bank. And I'm like, wow, money in the bank is not off-grid. I don't understand this destination. Carolyn and I have been talking quite a bit about buying gold. With the economy the way it is, we're kind of worried about the banks. I mean, they're talking about negative interest rates. That means if you have money in savings, instead of getting interest on your money, you may have to pay to put money in the bank. So we're doing all kinds of research on that. But again, this is time, things that you got to do to take time. I hear a lot of people, what do you do for a living, living off-grid? Well, go to work. I mean, my job, I'm self-employed, so my job is actually here, but I don't see any reason why you can't go to work. Rob, you're not off-grid unless you got chickens. Got to have chickens. Well, Carolyn and I do intend to get chickens. One of the problems is you can't even buy chickens right now because the pandemic, it appears that everybody has decided to go buy chickens. The other thing is we're also trying to build a house. So what's the priority? Getting the little house done or building the chicken coop? Because you got to have a chicken coop. And then, okay, so you got chickens. Now, you can let them feed on bugs, I guess, but a lot of people will go get chicken feed. As a matter of fact, this off-grid lifestyle where they're all, I'm an off-gridder, and they're all talking about how to get chicken feed. Where do you get chicken feed? Chicken feed. Well, if you're going to buy chicken feed, is that off-grid? So I really think that off-grid is, first of all, cannot be defined. I don't think there's a definition. Now, if you look it up on Google, which I have, they typically say, now, if you're off-grid, you're way out in the middle of nowhere away from utilities. Well, of course, yes, that would disqualify me. But I'm not hooked up to utilities, and I have lots of way out of their stuff. So I think if you're going to want to live off-grid, don't let people define what that is for you. You try to define it. What is it that you want? If you're not hand digging your well, you're not off-grid. Well, you know, I really wonder how many people actually do those kind of things. Are they really being truthful on what they're saying? I'm out here to be free to do what I want. I don't want to be tied to the electric company. That is just, to me, a definition of off-grid that really is important to me. The other thing is if the electric goes out, which happens quite frequently here in Missouri, I still have electric. So that's important to me. Having water. Since I was a nomad, I now know the importance of having water. Well, I got an unlimited supply of water. That, in my mind, is something that I feel is off-grid. And then heat. Having heat is something I've thought about my entire life. Heat gets very expensive. And I've always wanted to have enough property where I could heat a building with firewood. But I've never had that. If I were to have a regular size house right now, I wouldn't have enough firewood to heat it. So, tiny house. So, me pulling a little wagon around with firewood instead of having a big tractor, to me is more off-grid. So the point is, if they're telling you you're not off-grid because you have your money in a bank account or because you have a job, and they have a big old tractor and a big old chainsaw, well, in my mind, they're not off-grid either. So it's all in the mindset. Most important part about being off-grid is taking that first step. Taking that first step where you can say, wow, I've accomplished whatever it is. In my case, it was hooking up solar panels and not ever having to run that generator. Solar panels take care of all our power needs. So take that first step to living your dream, whether it's off-grid or not. Thanks for watching.